time has come to leave Indonesia and begin our ocean passage. 3,000 miles across the Indian Ocean to the Seychelles. But checking out with the boat is not quite as simple as walking through the airport and getting our passport stamped. Here, it is a lot more complicated. And once we manage that, we hit yet more problems. This is clearly the port captain's office.
The stamps give it away.
Stamps. But there's no one here. Trying to choose when to go is proving to be very, very stressful.
We are Matt and Amy, and together with our 37-foot yacht Florence, we are circumnavigating the world and sharing our adventure along the way. Saying goodbye is never easy.
I actually feel really emotional leaving Marco and Dominique at Cuba. They've been such amazing friends to us. They've looked after us so well. Yeah, pretty emotional really. Been really sad to leave. But I hope they're friends for life and we'll see them again.
We've spent the last 5 years moving from place to place and constantly leaving, and you'd think we'd be better at it by now.
We don't often get the chance to really get to know people. We've been here on and off for 6 months. We spent 3 months actually with them here. Marco's taught us to dive, and it's not only that. I mean, this is a pretty stressful time for everybody around the world, especially when you're not in your home country, when you are having to deal with bureaucracy in a country you don't understand the language. And we choose to move on, sailing around the world. We choose to always go to new places to seek out change. But I think it's only human nature to appreciate stability and calm, and that's what Dominique and Marco have given us.
Yeah, massively.
And it feels really, really sad to be leaving. It's really windy. I've got like really wind stinging my eyes. That's what it is.
That's hay fever.
I'm macho man, really.
It's a real mix of emotions leaving here. The excitement of setting out to continue our round-the-world trip, tinged with the sadness of leaving good friends behind, not knowing if or when we might see them again. We've left Cuba, but we can't leave the country until we've checked out with immigration and all of the other officials. So we're heading to Padang, where they're all based. And this is the part of leaving that we've been really dreading. And despite spending the best part of a day going around all of the offices to work out the procedure and the paperwork we need, we still think the process is going to take 2, possibly even 3 days. So we've put our official application to leave in last week, and we hope that we've made all of the right appointments necessary for people to come and visit the boat, that we'll hopefully get a stamp in our passport and be able to exit the country later this week.
Legally.
Yeah, legally. That's the aim.
Normally when we've got the boat all stocked up and ready to leave a country, just before we check out, we feel really, really excited and ready to go, and checking out just this little tick box last thing to do. But because we've heard from 2 boats that we know of that it's a difficult checkout process here, we both feel really anxious about it. In fact, we've been worrying about it for the last week or 2. So I think it's actually going to be more of a relief to actually get the stamp and get the tick in the box and get checked out of the country, rather than the excitement that we normally feel.
Dealing with bureaucracy and officials is a big part of being able to do what we're doing, and we just have to try to put it down to experience and part of the journey, rather than getting too upset or annoyed about it. So that's what this next few days are going to be, an experience.
So here we are, first step, immigration, to get our passport stamped to leave the country. And we had an appointment, which we thought was all a little bit too good to be true, but the guy's not around yet, so we're waiting an hour. So far, that's normal, so we'll see how long it really takes.
Just an hour and a half later than planned, we're able to get started, and it was surprisingly quick and painless. This guy was organised and proactive. Instead of sending us off to the photocopy shop down the road to get an extra copy of a document he needed, which is the normal procedure here, he just scanned and printed it himself. He also needed a picture of Florence, but as we didn't have one, he was happy for us to just WhatsApp him one from our Instagram page. This was a breath of fresh air after the difficulties that we'd had getting our visas sorted in another office here.
We didn't just get the one stamp we were after, but several others for good measure. As it was much faster than we expected, we had plenty of time to stop at the market on the way back to Florence. Our appointment with customs wasn't until the following morning. So the immigration done. Now we've got to stock Florence up, last minute fresh food stock. But the market is crazy today because it's coming towards the end of Ramadan. It is crazy busy. Crazy busy. Friendly. Ah.
This is the place to provision for fresh produce for our ocean crossing, but with the noise, and I think we're the only tourists here, everybody is shouting and trying to get our attention, and trying to find the freshest produce and everything that we need is really difficult in this environment. Shopping at the market regularly has been a fun experience. Trying to improve our language skills and dealing with the huge numbers involved in Indonesian currency. For example, 1 kilogram of imported apples is 45,000 Indonesian rupiah.
Difficulty comes as we get loaded up with bags and bags of stuff, trying to carry a month's worth of provisions and shop them all. It's not very easy, and this motorbike now can't get past Amy. With a stop at a couple more shops for last minute items, it was a rush to get back to the boat, wash, dry and store all the veg, and then prepare Florence and our paperwork ready for inspection by customs at 9 AM the following morning.
Customs had agreed to travel down to the port where it's safer for us to anchor Florence, rather than demand that we anchor in the busy commercial harbour. Because there's no dock for Florence to tie alongside, either here or in the main harbour, we had to do a couple of trips to ferry all 3 of them out in the dinghy.
I do not think that we will get quarantine and harbour master done in time to go today.
Yeah.
So.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Have a nice trip.
Thank you.
Okay, so yesterday we did immigration. This morning customs came, very friendly. That all went really well. I had to go back to their offices with them once they'd checked over Florence, so that they could get their boss to sign the papers and then give them back to me, and I just got a taxi back. And now we need to go and try and find quarantine or health, and then final check out with the harbour master. And we just checked the harbour master office. This is clearly the port captain's office.
The stamps give it away.
Stamps. But there's no one here. And there's just no one there at the moment, so it might be interesting there's still no one there when we get back. But we're going now to go on quite a long hot walk to try and find quarantine. And the only information we have of where this is, address-wise, is it's opposite the Naomi cake shop.
The cake shop.
Cake shop. Yeah, it took quite a long time. A lot of hanging around and a lot of paperwork and checking and double checking that paperwork, but one of the things we were worried about was having to pay a bribe, and we didn't have to. The guy was really grumpy, and at the end when we got the paperwork he said, now you pay me money. And Amy just picked up our paperwork because we know we're not supposed to have to pay for that, it's supposed to be free. Amy just picked up her paperwork and we said, no, we don't have to pay you money, and walked out the door. So got away with that one.
All of the other officers were really professional. It was just quarantine that we had an issue with, and funnily enough, that was the same in Sabang. So.
Oh yeah, that was the guy that wanted a bottle of whiskey or something. Sabang,
Yeah.
That just left the harbour master to complete our checkout. Thankfully, there was someone there at the office who could call him when we went back.
Custom?
Yes.
Custom,
Immigration?
immigration, yes. Health,
Quarantine?
yes.
By this point, there was so much paperwork that one page got lost, and we were told we would have to go back to immigration and start the whole process again. Thankfully, though, the lost page was found stuck to the back of another document. 2.5 hours later, we were eventually presented with the final official Harbour Master's bill for 14,500 Indonesian rupiah, which is about 71 pence. And then we were given our port clearance papers.
And we are done. That is it. It's taken us all day today, and obviously yesterday at immigration. We started at 9 o'clock this morning and it's 10 to 4 and we have finished. We've got all of our paperwork to leave. This is definitely the most difficult country in terms of paperwork that we've ever visited, but we're finished.
So yesterday we completed our checkout procedure and we've got all our papers ready to go, and you're supposed to leave port within 24 hours of checking out. But that's a little bit difficult because we're a sailing boat and we need wind to go somewhere, and today there's been absolutely no wind whatsoever. Now normally we would plan the day that we're going to check out for a day when there is some good wind for us to actually leave, but here we had to apply to leave and submit our paperwork a week in advance, and we've also had to juggle the date that we checked out because today is actually a public holiday and there's a bunch more public holidays coming up, and juggling that with when our visa ended was pretty difficult, so we're actually checking out early. So we haven't really got much choice. We're going to have to motor out of here, and I think we're going to have to motor probably all night. Our plan is to go out to the Mentawai Islands, and we should there be able to restock with fuel, and then we will be that much closer to our route out to the Seychelles, and we will wait there until there is actually some wind before we set off. So we'd rather not motor, but I think we're going to have to tonight. Just have to suck it up and motor. Smoke from the power station's going straight up, so that's not showing any sign of any wind. That's the trouble being this close to the equator.
We're going sailing, or at least we hope we're going sailing.
Yeah, motoring. Still. I'm really excited for the passage. You know, out to be thousands of miles out to sea again. It'll be at least 3 weeks at sea once we go from there.
Yeah.
That's going to be exciting.
I know it's going to be tough when we do finally set off, but I'm really looking forward to the simplicity of the routine of just having the two of us on board, working between our watches and not really having any other responsibility other than sailing the boat and looking after ourselves. It's a nice way to be.
Yeah. Disconnect from the world for a while.
Unfortunately, a lot of the fresh food that we manage to get in the market isn't that fresh. People tend to buy things on a daily basis here, and so unfortunately a lot of the vegetables, even after 2 days, have just started rotting. So I've spent most of the day trying to salvage what I can and pickling things, so that's a bit of an experiment. We'll see how well that turns out in a few weeks' time, I think. It's a beautiful evening. It's nice to be moving even though we're motoring out of Padang. We've been building up to this moment of leaving for months now, so it feels good to be finally on our way.
The calm stayed with us through the night, but made for a beautiful sunrise as we approached the Mentawai Islands.
As soon as the anchor was down, we hopped into the dinghy and set about trying to top up our diesel in the lovely local town of Tubajet.
Probably be okay. You can carry everything on a motorbike, can't you?
2 people and 60 litres of diesel,
Okay.
Let's give it a go.
It's never easy. The petrol station is out of diesel fuel, totally, and they don't know when they're going to get another delivery. So that's a real problem for us because we've used quite a lot getting here in no wind, and we were counting on being able to top up here before we go on. So I guess we'll wait a little while and see if some more does get delivered in the next few days, and if not, I don't know, we might have to go around the fishing boat docks and see if we can get some there, but it won't be anywhere near as good quality, and that's not the stuff we're technically supposed to buy. Well, we finally found a place to get fuel, not the petrol station, not the stuff we're supposed to buy, but when the other stuff isn't available, we don't really have a choice, so we've got all the fuel we need hopefully now.
So we can go now, right? Well, maybe.
Trying to choose when to go is proving to be very, very stressful. And we've been watching the weather, and the weather's kind of okay for leaving yesterday, maybe the day before, but we didn't have fuel. It looks like you either go now and potentially have no wind because there's this big wind hole kind of appearing, or you wait 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks, and it's not like you wait 2 weeks and then there's better weather. It's like you wait 2 weeks and you hope that the weather improves by then. And we ended up getting ready to go this morning, getting the boat ready to go, because we actually had wind here, but it was more like storm generated or rain squall generated wind here. And we're just about to get the dinghy on deck and kind of go, and then we're sort of sitting here going, this does not feel right. We're going on a forecast hoping that it's going to be the better end of that forecast. There's 2 forecasts, one says no wind, one says a little bit of wind, patchy.
Even the better forecast is still not ideal, and you do need to sit back on a regular basis and go, okay, realistically, if that is 1 or 2 knots lower than what's forecast, is that sailable? And the answer on this forecast is definitely not.
No,
so
if it's a fraction under the forecast, we'd have to motor, and we haven't got enough fuel to motor down to where the trades are, because the trades are retreating south pretty quickly.
yeah, so realistically we're looking potentially another 2 weeks, which is not ideal to be here checked out for that amount of time, but it's either that or we put to sea and drift. So
So today we've woken up to complete justification of our decision not to set out yesterday. There was wind yesterday, but today there is nothing.
we ended up having to wait another 2 weeks for the wind. Next time we'll finally set off across the Indian Ocean, but it's not easy and things don't go to plan.
Start it like normal, yeah?
Okay, on, heat, nothing.
Turn off. It sucks, but it kind of feels like we could be drifting for a ridiculous amount of time.